Hello everybody and welcome back to a new mod showcase. Today I have got a brand new mod which has only just been released called Might of the Maw from Team SCM. A little bit different here from what I usually do with mods like this. What I'm going to do is show you each individual mods because this is a big mod and this will literally take me like 5 hours. Usually I do like deep dives and I show you everything about every single unit, but this time I'm going to do things a little bit differently because I will be here till Christmas doing it. But I think it's such a cool mod and it adds so much variety to the ogres that there's a lot of factions here which don't play like ogres. You'll see what I mean as I go into them. So what I'm going to do is show you each faction, the faction mechanic, and then I'll show you briefly what the units look like, character models and stuff like that from each individual faction. So as you play one faction, what are you expecting from that faction? I'm not going to deep dive into all of the stats from each faction or from each lord or hero or anything like that. We'll take a quick glance at them, have a look at what they look like thematically, and then we'll go from there. But without further ado, let's jump into it. But real quick, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you much dearly. Leave a like. Much love. Thank you. Let's get into it. Okay, so kicking things off, we have Bull Mallet-hands leading the Blood Guzzler tribe. This is the first of 11 legendary lords, by the way. So prepare yourself, strap in. He focuses mainly around spider units as well as adding some new spider units, which are pretty cool. We'll get a look into them in a second. As you can see up here, he's got spider eggs, which acts as a pseudo currency. He earns these from doing missions, doing battles, and other stuff like that. He then uses it over here on this like little spider workshop here. So as you can see here, you've actually got spider hunts, which allows you to teleport to different locations and fight spiders to get more eggs, which is a nice little obviously if you're in a pinch and need more spider eggs quickly, a nice thing to do. But imagine this as a bit like a Beastman workshop and Icket Claws workshop. So here you can use spider eggs to purchase units. Again, we'll have a look at these units when it comes up in a second. You can then also use the eggs to upgrade your factions, like for example there, giving all Nobler infantry plus 10 bonus for these large, so quite nice. Again, Nobler units frenzy. Or you can upgrade individual units which are in relation to spiders, and as you upgrade more you get different buffs here. Obviously banners to begin with, and an actual different access to even more spider units here. So that's the general gist of him. He's a spider lover, he's a bit crazy. Let's have a look at what his units actually look like in battle, as well as Bull obviously himself. Let's have a look at him. So now that we have popped into a little skirmish battle here, we can see Bull in all his majestic wonder, obviously covered in spider webs, as he loves his little spider boys. I don't know if anyone's ever played Shadow of War, but it reminds me of an orc you can find in there. Pretty reminiscent of that. And behind him you have Mallet's hunters, so like a javelin ogre unit, looking pretty cool. Again, spider themed there. Over here he's got some Nobler boys mounted onto some spiders as well, which are pretty cool looking. Very similar to obviously, these are chariots. Very similar to what you would find with greenskins. So you got the Nobler spider chariot here, and then you got the hunter spider chariot. So very similar, but with a massive fucking bull on the back. Also the spiders are considerably bigger. Here we've got Nobler Spider Rider with archers and just normal Spider Riders. I'll hover over each just so you can see the stats as well as we go along. Again, really nice looking, very similar to the green skins, just swapping out the goblins with Noblers there. I like his little pan on his head, that's pretty cool. And as well, because the boy loves his spiders, he does have access to these generic, whoops, get out of them, that's not nice, generic spider mobs as well. So you've got the giant spiders here, you've got the spider hatchlings, as well as the 2 Arachnarok variants as well. So that is everything that the Bull, sorry, Mallet-hands, Bull Mallet-hands, there we go, clear my throat, has to offer in terms of unit variety and campaign mechanics. Let's head on to the next faction. Moving on to the next faction, we have the Sharktooth clan led by Targog Whalebeater. This is probably one of the rare occasions of a ogre which doesn't spawn in the Mountains of Marn. A lot of them do spawn very close to it, if not in it. Obviously over here in Lustria, you have basically what is a Vampire Coast faction, but ogres. A whole new set of naughty undead boys to wreak havoc with. You also have a new hero here, a Bosun hero, which is a generic hero specifically for the Sharktooth tribe. They just function like Vampire Coast, so obviously going after the sea shanties and stuff like that. One different mechanic though they have is that when they attack vampirates, they have a chance to recruit their version of like the vampire undead mobs to their to do their bidding. So with that being said, let's have a look at the Sharktooth roster just so you can get a bit of an idea of what they'll be recruiting. A really cool thematic army here though, faction sorry should I say. So let's head on into the showcase of the units. Right, here we have it with the Whalebeater himself on the left, Targog there, bless him, as well as the Bosun hero there. Having a quick look at stats there just so you can have a quick gander. Moving on, we have some pretty cool looking boys. Obviously we've got an Iron Hook man-eater here, a normal ogre, obviously dressed up all seaworthy, looking really cool. But then we've also got some undead ogres here, which are pretty cool. We've got a depth gunner as well as a depth man-eater, holding an anchor, may I add. Really cool. However, these units come as single entity, as with most things to be fair with this faction. Over here we've got some drowned Morg riders. I mean, just look at that abomination, so cool looking. Really thematic this this faction. He's got a little like scuba thing on. I love it. Sorry, just having a quick look at stats there again. Really cool looking. As well as two different artillery choices as well. So here we've got the depth iron blasters, again manned by some undead ogres with the like Nautilus helmet on there, pretty cool looking, as well as some Noblar depth scratch launchers. Scrap launchers. You also do have access to the Colossal and I forgot what the other one's called, the Leviathan, that's it. Colossal and the Leviathan. However, I couldn't get it to actually spawn in the practice battle, but basically they're captured variants of those units, so you can also use the Colossus and the Leviathan here as well, which is pretty cool. So there you go, there is the Whalebeater and his tribe of naughty undead ogres, or vampires, as they probably are actually. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here we've got the third Legend Lord, Morg Magmaborn, leading the Flamegullets tribe over here next to Malekith. He also just spawned with a legendary hero here called Ragtag Flameheart, which is pretty cool looking. Again, we'll have a look at his character model in a second. He has access to a special variety of units called the Magma Touch, as you can see here. Again, we'll get into details about them in a second when we jump into the skirmish battle. He has two pseudo currencies, so he's got the main currency here called Magma Jugs. Magma Jugs are gained from battles and can be used on this down here. What this is very similar to like Skull Taker's tree, where the more, or souls for example, the more souls, or as it is here, Magma Jugs you put into it, which gives a variety of effects, the more you unlock as you put more into it. Another thing we've got here is the Rage of the Firemouth. So this is accumulated by doing basically just campaign actions like fighting, raiding, and also from heroes like Firebellies. As this ranks up, this is what gives you access to the Flame Touched units. So you get access to a couple of these when you fulfill the whole entire bar, which is a pretty cool mechanic. Apart from that, he just loves to set things on fire. Very similar to just a normal ogre campaign, except from obviously starting with a legendary hero and having access to the Magma Touched. So let's have a look at those Magma Touched in campaign. Sorry, in battle. Okay, so here we've got Morg Magmaborn and his main Gigachag Ragtar Flameheart. Really cool looking models. Again, pretty much everything you'll see here has been incredibly well done from the mod team there. It's really beautiful looking. the amount of detail which has been put into these boys. Over here, looking at the Magma Touch boys, these guys are just insane looking. So we've got some Flame Ogre Bulls there. Moving over here, we've got some Flame Eaters with Ogre Pistols. Again, really cool looking. We've got some Flame Eaters with great weapons. Every faction is so thematically built. It looks great. Flamegullets as well. Again, just hovering over so you can see the stats of these boys. And then over here we've got some flamethrowers, quite literally. Naughty boys with flame fang cavalry over here. Looking really good with the obviously fiery beasts. Well, flame fangs, effectively, looking really nice. And then finally here we've got this flame spirit. So all around, just an inferno of mess. So there we go. There is the Flamegullet tribe, looking as hot as ever, pun intended. Let's head on over to the 4th legendary lord and see what they've got to offer in comparison to the 3 we've already seen. Let's do it. Okay, so here we are with the next legendary lord, and probably the most meme-ish. Yes, that is indeed a halfling cook. This boy loves his food. So this is Blaut, Feastmaster, leading the Feastmaster tribe. He basically is just Grom the Paunch, but ogre version. So again, quite flavorful, obviously, if you want to experience something like that. As you can see here, he's got the Halfling's Cauldron. Clicking on that literally just gives you a very similar thing to what Grom the Paunch obviously does. The more battles you do, the more you unlock, the more you can create a menagerie of horrendous meals. But he seems to love it. And with a halfling hero to boot, who can complain? So that's pretty much all he has to offer. He's just Grom the Paunch, but in ogre style, obviously spawning over here in the Badlands. So again, not quite the mountains of Marn, quite a fair distance away. So a nice, unique spawn to boot, as well as the cooking mechanic. So let's have a look at the units he has to offer, as well as the halfling in campaign. In the skirmish battle. Right here we've got Blaut, the in all his chinny glory, as well as, of course, I mean, just look at the size difference. He's got meat everywhere, by the way. He's a big meaty boy, as well as the halfling cook, which is just absolutely hilarious, might I add. Just so you can see stats there. He's a melee expert, and he's also a chef in charge. Here we've got the Noblar Grill Slingers. So this is actually a regiment renowned. I mean, look at the kebab sticks they've got. There's loads of regiment renowns. However, it's quite hard to see which regiment renown belongs with each individual faction, and the whole point of this showcase is kind of showing you what each faction provides. So I'm going for mainly base units. However, the Noblar Grill Slingers here actually spawn. They're greased up, by the way. Actually spawn as his starting army, so I've included them here just as a bit of a pre-warning. There are loads of regiment renowned. This one just spawns with the army, so I know for a fact Blaut gets them because he spawns with them. We've also got just normal Noblar Grillers again. Looking hilarious with the kebab sticks there. I love it. The skewers. Oh dear. Moving over here, we've got some ogres here, the Blaut Man-Eater, sorry. Again, really cool looking stats there for you there. They're all greased up, ready for some oily warfare. Just, I love the designs of these. These are just like chef in, like apprentices, right? I could just imagine this boy stood here telling all these what to do. Could you imagine? Bless him. There's a little hamstick there. And then finally, there's only a little roster here. We've got the Blaut Fang War Beast. So, again, absolutely hilarious that they're dangling meat in front of him on a bloody fishing rod. This one's on a diet, bless him, he's got a carrot, but I love it. So there we go, there's Blaut's faction, a little short faction, pun intended, for the halfling cook there. not much to offer in terms of the unit variety, but the memes are there for eternity. So with that being said, let's head on over to the next legendary lord, and we'll leave the chinny boy to his feast there. Look at the size of that slab of meat. Anyway, let's have a look at the next one. Moving on to the 5th legendary lord, we have the tribe of Shrewd Fulg, and would you believe it is led by Shrewd Fulg. This boy is basically Clan Mulder, but in ogre form. So he spawns in the mountains of Marn, and actually quite difficult spawn. He spawns against Grimgor, by the way, so good luck to you. But he's exactly the same as a normal ogre playthrough, and I say exactly the same very carefully here, because he also then has access to the flesh laboratory. So exactly the same as Clan Mulder, having all the different infantry augments, the monster augments, and then obviously laboratory. Obviously providing bonuses for ogres instead of the Skaven. He does also start with relations with Clan Mulder as well, obviously getting where all his monstrosities is from. Apart from that, he doesn't really have anything else special around the campaign map, except from that. He does have access to bounties like most of the other lords we have shown here, but he does have some truly horrific abominations he can recruit. So let's have a quick gander at those boys in battle. Right, so just before we have a look at Shrewd Fulg's little unit roster here, I just thought it's important to note that they, not all legendary lords, but a lot of the legendary lords do have access to some pretty cool mounts. So for example, here is Bull from the first faction I showed you on a massive arachnid spider, which is looking pretty sexy if I do say so myself, obviously with hunters in the back there. And then here is Shrewd on this abomination, which is a Rhinox, obviously mutated into a rat. It is horrific. There he is on top there, bless him, chilling. But just look at this monstrosity, and I'm telling you right now, it gets worse. And then over here we've got the saber tusks, which have been mutated into whatever the flying fuck these are. Saber tusks were literally mixed with wolf rats. It's horrific. Moving on over here, we've got rat ogres, but not quite rat ogres. If we just zoom in. What the flying fuck is that? Bless him. So these are some modified ogre balls, which is horrific as well. Moving over here, we've got a modified iron gut, which again has a ogre ball head, or iron gut head as it is. It gets worse. I'll leave this thing to last. Here we've got a modified Rhinox, which again is what Shrewd Fulg is carrying. Sorry, riding on. And then here, let me just zoom in. Here's the modified Stonehorn. So as you can see right up front, we've got the Stonehorn head. Yeah, beautiful. But then it's just got an array of Nobler heads pointing out of it, which again is just horrific. Look at the state of them. Jesus Christ. So there is Shrewd Fulg's array of just monstrosities here, doing things which should never have been done in the first place, mixing different creatures together, and yeah, just absolutely horrific. So just having a quick look here again with stats, we've got the modified saber tusks, modified ogre balls, iron gut, Stonehorn, and the modified Rhinox. And again, we'll just click over here just so you can see the stats of the Shrewd Fulg. He's the naughty boy. He should not be able to do stuff like this, but yeah, there we go. With that being said, let's head on over to the next legendary lord. Right, moving on to the 6th, I believe, legendary lord. We have Blogg Crusherguts leading the Hrothgul tribe. This is probably one of the most vanilla experiences out of all the factions we're probably going to cover today. He doesn't have a lot going for him, but it's not to say that it's a bad thing. Again, going straight up against Azag. So greenskins in this mod are really getting hammered by all fronts. He has access to only one additional unit, so we don't really need to show off too much, which is the Stone Trolls. So pretty cool there. Apart from that, he has a lot of buffs when it comes to bruisers. And he does have this mechanic up here, which is basically momentum, similar to Taurox's momentum. So the more battles he wins, the more basically he gets stronger, giving a variety of different effects here. So obviously up here, Stench of Rage as he goes to the final tier, gives him all of that, and you can go up and upgrade to Fat Rampage and then Gargantuan Rampage in the end there. So really nice looking, simple army here. Let's have a look at him in battle, as well as we'll throw in the Stone Trolls. There's a bit of thematic scenery behind him. All round a nice easy faction to show off. And here we go, probably the easiest showcase we've ever got for this mod showcase. Here we've got the Stone Trolls. You just run of the mill Stone Trolls, nothing really fancy about them. Stats probably the exact same, if not the exact same. And then we've got Blogg Crusherguts here on his Stonehorn. A really cool looking model, by the way, up there. I love his helmet, looking really cool. Obviously thematically helmet built around his banner, which is really nice as well. Or maybe the banner is probably built around his helmet. But anyway, there's a Stonehorn looking as tasty as ever. Really well done there. I'm loving the blue as well. I do think this is just his faction colours, but I love the blue on that as well. Looking really nice. And there we go, there is the Rock Skulls little additions, bless them. A very vanilla experience if you're wanting to experiment, but not experiment too heavily. And if you hate greenskins, because obviously you got Azag and then Skarsnik right next to him. So let's head on to the next naughty ogre boy. Right, next on the shopping block we've got Jhared the Red. A really cool looking ogre, by the way. He's more of like a Gorger skin, very animalistic looking, really cool looking. Obviously leading the Saberskin tribe, quite fitting. He basically works like Rakaf. You'll see that a lot of the ogres work like another legendary lord, but obviously ogre themed. So he basically works like Rakaf. So just to give you a bit of an idea, he's got this up here called the Convocation of Hunters. You click that and it gives you all these different possible outcomes you can do. So for example, here we can go to Lustria. It costs us 750 gold to go there, and it gives us a high chance of feral cold ones and a feral stegodon, and then a small chance of receiving a feral carnosaur. It then puts the right of convocation on cooldown for 10 turns. Obviously, depending where you go, depends on how many turns you're going to be waiting. So, for example, if we was to click on here, you've got loads of different ones: elven beasts, icy beasts. So, just Thundertusk there. Darkland beasts, so like more like towards the orcs, and old world beasts, so like mammoths, feral ice bears and stuff like that, explosive squigs. But let's go to Lustria just for simplicity. Okay, so just for simplicity purposes, there is actually a chance you don't receive anything from this. You can buff it by getting different level ups and stuff like that at different points and stuff, but unfortunately there is a chance you just don't get anything. The first time I tested this out, I got a Stegodon. When I went to Lustria, for example, I got a Stegodon and 4 dinosaur cold ones, sorry. And then I just tried it again a couple of times and I got absolutely nothing. There is one option which I've just done which guarantees you a drop, shall we say. So here's the Feral Thundertusk. A little bit of a lore as to how you came about to get him. So that's pretty cool. Down here is where you recruit them from, so recruit from the monster pen, and this is all of the different boys that you get. There is again some unique monsters here, unlike Rakaf, so which Jhared has access to. Another thing which I think is pretty cool is let's just attack this greenskin army. Again, we're out to get the greenskins in this mod, so let's just get rid of them. Lovely jubbly. We'll eat them just for shits and gigs, and then pop. When you do, excuse me. Okay, there we go. When you attack different armies, you again have an even another chance of capturing some more different animals here. So, for example, here we attack this army, and because of where we was raiding or where we had a battle, we got 2 units of saber tusks, and then just to double down, let's attack this. Auto resolve all day long. I'm going to capture it. And the same thing here, for example. Wowee, that's actually a really good one. The past couple of times I've tested it, I got squigs. Big wings, big bites. Again, greenskins are dead, so because we attacked a greenskin settlement, we have a high chance of getting, a chance of getting a beast related to that faction. So we've got a feral wyvern available for recruitment, which, all things considered, straight after get-go, is pretty naughty, having a fairly strong flying unit, which is pretty cool. So with that being said, that's pretty much all. Again, a pretty vanilla experience. That's pretty much all they've got to offer. Let's have a quick little gander at what other new units this faction has to offer in relation to the monster pens. So let's have a look at them. So switching over to the little battle scenario we've got here, we've got Jhared the Red, looking as creepy as ever, to be fair. Obviously a really nice model, well done by the mod team there for being able to reskin a Gorger to look as beautiful as Jhared the Red. And again, just having a quick look at what units he has to offer. It's basically just unmounted versions or feral versions of normal ogre units. So we've got some feral Mournfangs here, looking pretty nice. Riderless though. Feral Rhinox, again, more into count than what you would usually see. But again, we've got the Rider, and then here we've got the Stonehorn and the Thundertusk. So really cool looking boys. But nothing new there. Just riderless, obviously coming with the negative of being feral, so expect them to go into rampage and stuff like that and just not listen to anything you've got to say. But apart from that, not too bad. A nice little cool Recalf / ogre mix up. So liking it, loving it. Let's head on to the next one. Okay, moving on to the next Legendary Lord, we've got Hrothgul Icefang, a really cool looking like Yeti pseudo Lord here. He also comes with a legendary hero here called Hrothgul Frostbar, as well as another hero actually, as well, just a normal hero here, but he is a unique hero in the sense of it's a mod specific hero, which is a greyback. We'll get into specifics again when we actually look in the skirmish battle and have a look at models. He spawns actually at war with Greasus, which is pretty amusing, giving a bit of help to the dwarves over here. I've actually kind of like you for it. Cool thing about him is, again, similar to other ogre factions, he's a pseudo copycat lord, and this time it's for Gorbat. So as you can see up here, he's got ivory. He's got one ivory, one tusk. If you click on him, you can equip tactics here. And as you can see, everything here is literally exactly what Gorbat has, but instead is specific for his faction and ogres alike. So for example, just putting him in this army will allow him to get this Pale Hunters, which enables all units to have Frostbite, and all units, or at least him, to have the possibility of a Chilling Awe. So we equip it, we lose the ivory, we then get that equipped, and bosh, we're ready to go. Every time you battle, you get at least one ivory, and yeah, it's just a nice, again, different but similar campaign you can play. Obviously, in relation to Gorbat, having the similar tactics as to what he has. Another cool thing as well is, by law definition, every single unit is covered in ice, and so has barrier, which is quite amusing as well. So a bit of a challenge to start going up against Greasus straight after get-go, but maybe it might be a challenging start for Greasus to go up against Hrothgul straight off the get-go. So who knows? With that being said, let's have a look at what he has to offer, because they're pretty cool looking, so let's get into it. Right, now that we have loaded up nicely into the battle to show off the models, we can see here we've got Hrothgul. I also didn't notice until obviously now, he's got a Yeti head on his shoulder, which is really cool looking. On his left, we've got his legendary hero Hrothgul Frostmaw. He is a spellcaster, which is pretty cool. And then on the right here, we've got the Greyback. Looking at the stats there, sorry, there's Hrothgul. Excuse me, looking at the stats there, not too bad. Lots of weapon strength, which is really cool. This boy brings in a boatload of new units, by the way. So let's just have a quick look over here. He's got Yeti Great Weapons as well as Yeti Iron Fist to go along with the base unit of Yetis. Again, looking really cool, really menacing actually. They look so cool. And again, the Iron Fist here. I love them, they're so cool. Over here he has access to some ice units, monsters, shall we say. So we've got the Norscan Ice Wolves, we've got the Snow Leopard. I'm not too sure if I agree with Snow Leopard. I feel like Kislev needs to put that in the bin, to be fair. But you know, if he has access to it, he has access to it. Feral Ice Bears, again, we've got to love the polar bears, all for it, as well as the Feral Ice Mammoth, looking really nice there. And also, he has access to this monstrosity here, which looks absolutely amazing, by the way. I really love the effect on the back of this thing. So this is the Thundertusk altar. So it's going to probably be given, well, not probably, it's going to be given buffs obviously around itself, as well as having some bound abilities it can use as well in battle, which is really cool looking. So again, another really heavily themed army, bringing lots to the table here in relation to yetis and ice monsters and stuff like that. But all around, a nice different pick, especially with the tactics obviously similar to Gorbads for you to use. So yeah, really loving it. Let's head on to the next Legendary Lord. We've still got a few more to go, so let's keep on going. Right, with just a few more Legendary Lords to show off now, let's head on to Marn the Mangler, leading the Thunderguts tribe over here, just on the very southern edge of the mountains of Marn. I've gone through a couple of turns here, because to actually use his faction effect, you've got to build up this, called trophies. What this person is, what Marn the Mangler is basically the Arbal, the undefeated of the ogre world, right? He just goes from town to town, stomping shit, doesn't suffer trespasses, and just goes around crumping. And then once you've unlocked 5 trophies, which you get from battles, either fighting armies, fighting settlements, whatever. I've just taken obviously out the Lisbon here, kind of done a weird little U-turn here to come back around. You then unlock access to this, which is challenges, exactly the same as what Arbor would have. So you've got boons over here which you can purchase with trophies. Obviously it has upkeep, so use them, you know, to the best effect. Don't just obviously throw the trophies away. But if you did want more trophies, it's very similar to Arbal. You've got stuff where you can travel, cost 5, but you can fast travel over here, and you get 15 as well as 8 grand. Obviously you're going to get slapped if I try it, but that's how you can build trophies up a little bit more quicker, or quickly should I say. Apart from that, that's all this character has to offer. He's just Arbal, but in ogre form. He does have some units there to go along with his stomping. So let's have a quick little gander at them before heading on to the second to last Legendary Lord. Okay, so here we've got Marn the Mangler himself, a pretty naughty boy. Doesn't come with any mount options, but then probably doesn't need it. Here are his stats. Anti-large, of course, with a spear like that, he's going to be stabbing at plenty of beasts. And unfortunately, this faction doesn't actually bring much to the table in terms of unique units. However, Ogre's wanting to probably find a fitting end. So we've got some pit fighters here. Again, anti-large with massive spears, as you can see. Stats there not looking too bad, accompanied by a second variant which is just mounted. Very similar in comparison, but yeah, not too bad looking. Loving the models, by the way. The helmets look really nice. This one's funny. He's got like 3 little skulls dangling in front of him. I don't know what species those skulls come from. I mean, I hope it's not. I mean, they look quite demonic. I hope that's not a child skull, I'll be honest. But then like skulls like this look amazing, by the way. Again, such good work. And again, for theme building, you've got a gladiator type ogre who's just going to walk around and look for the biggest, bestest of fights going, right? He's the biggest, baddest boy. And he's got some chumps to come along with him just for shits and gigs. So with that being said, let's head on to the second to last Legendary Lord. It's been a long time coming, so let's head on over. Okay, so here we are with the second to last legendary lord, we have Vazgrat the Lucky. He spawns over here in the Empire, leading the Treehammers clan. He does spawn at war with a Empire faction here, the Talabekland. Jeez Louise, that was a rough one. So he might have a bit of a hard battle to do. To be fair, I don't know, these actually don't really mind him. However, I'm not too sure if the war persists, if people actually like you. To be fair, I think a lot of people actually don't mind you warping these Empire boys. Again, a very vanilla experience when it comes to the Treehammers. Not a lot to offer. However, he does have these lucky coins. He accumulates them over time by doing different things like fighting and stuff like that. I got one straight out to get-go from taking Kappelberg here. And what you do is you click this lucky coin toss, you flip the coin, and you lose 2 grand. So it's a 50-50. You can either get something really good or you can get something really bad. The last time I did this, I got a halfling cookbook, which gave me like some bound skills or something like that. This time around, I got absolutely just cooked by the treasury. So there's 2 grand down the drain. So, and again, if you want a bit of a difficult spawn, I say difficult, but everyone seems to absolutely adore me, to be fair. You are spawning pretty close to the rock skulls, which spawn like here. So you've got another legendary ogre nearby if you wanted to link up. Apart from that, just a vanilla experience when it comes to the ogres, but it does come with some additional units. So let's take a gander and have a look at those. Okay, so loading into the battle, we've got Vazgrat here on his lucky Rhinox. Pretty cool little tidbit about this guy. The old leader of the Treehammers clan charged at this Rhinox and killed him. Sorry? Jesus. Killed himself on it. And ever since it's been, ever since he died, sorry, Vazgrat took over, and this has been his lucky Rhinox ever since. Probably wants to treat it a little bit better than that because that looked like it hurt. Jesus. Looking over here though, we've got these boys. Massive broccolis for weapons. So these are Treehammer bulls with dual weapons, and then just normal Treehammer bulls. Again, looking pretty cool thematically as well. They've got like moss growing around them. I don't even know. And then broccolis for weapons. I love it. And over here we've got very similar, the Treehammer man-eaters. How funny. The Treehammer man-eaters, and then again the dual weapons where they've got dual broccolis ready for some hot vegetable action. So with that being said, without further ado, let's head on to the... God, he needs to stop that. RSPCA is going to be locking him down. Let's head on to the last faction. About time. Okay, so here we go. Last but not least, we have Fernadrang, or the Redmaw tribe. Over here in the Badlands, he's a bit of a naughty boy. He's a not necessarily a corn worshipper, but he definitely enjoys... well, I mean, yeah, he's basically a corn worshipper. He enjoys slaughtering boys just for shits and gigs of corns and glaze. I mean, gays. Oh God, no, not corns glaze. Fuck's sake. He has a wide variety of units, which comes with his little faction here. He also has access to pretty much what you'd expect from a Cornate faction or a demon faction. So he's got the Gifts of Chaos. He does have his souls and can use that once he controls the settlement, which obviously Gorgazan is right here. He does also have the Pasted Zambijin, which was introduced with the Warriors of Chaos DLC, the 4-way battle DLC. Kind of discontinued in the Immortal Empires map, but kind of brought back here, so he can create rifts, which is really cool, place them around different places and be able to basically teleport, which is really nice. Apart from that, again, he's got the Eyes of God, which allows him to recruit, if you look here, all the demon units from Khorne, as well as some other little additional ones there, like Chaos Furies, for example. So a nice, and some Dragon Ogre Shagoffs there, which is nice. So thematically, a really cool looking faction. Let's just have a quick look over here though, so you can actually see Skybrand's faction here. He absolutely despises you. You are not a true worshipper of Khorne in his eyes, so he's got a -40 aversion. I guess if you like kind of pal up with him and do all his bidding, you could probably get him to side up with you. But straight after get-go, he is not a fan. He does not show a lot of interest there. So I guess killing off Skybrand for the one true puppet of Khorne could be a nice little challenge to go ahead with. But with that being said, let's do one final look at what this faction, this unit, has to offer. This unit, I mean, he is a power unit, but let's have a look what he has to offer. Right, so here we are with the final lord we have loaded in. We have got Fernadrang on the left here, looking like an absolute giga chad. I mean, just look at him. He is horrific, but also really cool. I mean, look at his mouth, man. Jesus. He also comes with a Bruiser of Khorne as well, so there's his stats there. Obviously very similar to just a normal Bruiser, but probably a little bit more terrifying, a little bit more deadly in the field, because he obviously follows Khorne and he hates the ground. Moving over here, we've got Khorne Ogre Balls, so we've got 3 different variations of them, all looking very hairy and very corny. We've got the Iron Fist variant here as they bash their heads in. We've got the dual weapon variant here, and then finally we've got the just normal Ogre Bull variant here. Looking really cool, a little bit mutated in the face there as you can see, but all around not too bad. Along with this roster we also have over here this naughty boy, looking quite swanky if you ask me. The Chaos Giant of Khorne, looking really nice to be fair. Kind of a bit deformed. Horns where there probably shouldn't be any horns, but hey, who am I to judge? There are his stats there. And then finally we have Chaos Ogres of Khorne as the more elite infantry or monstrous infantry here. Looking so cool with these masks. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Look at that one. Wowee. Such a good job done by the mod team here. Just a quick tidbit, there are loads of legendary heroes as well. I believe there's 10 or 11 in total. I've shown you a couple, I'll show you the rest as a bit of an outro. But there are also shit tons of Regiment of Renown. So please do, if you are interested in this mod, take time with each faction. Obviously play the faction you want to play the most. The purpose of this showcase was to kind of show you each individual faction and give you a feel as to what each one gives you and see if anything tickles your pickle. With that being said, like I say, there is so many Regiment of Renowns. There's also different units which I probably haven't covered, but there's probably units out there which have specific criteria to unlock and I haven't reached that yet. This is a massive mod. So we'll end it on showing just a little snippet of the legendary heroes at the end, and then we'll finish off with a little bit of an outro, saying thank you all for watching. So let's head on over to the legendary heroes. Right, and here we go. As I before mentioned, here are the rest of the legendary heroes available in this mod. I haven't quite figured out how to get them, because to test everything it would have taken me a million years to actually do it, because this mod is so extensive. That's why this mod doesn't also follow a similar theme to my other showcases I've done of other factions being added to the game. So with that being said, let's just take a quick look at each one of these, especially that big boy there, Jesus Christ. And I'll let you experiment and test it out for yourself if you do choose to install the mod, and hopefully you can come across one of these boys. So we've got Hrothgul, the Shrine Keeper, a nice priest there with lots of different spells, especially of regrowth. We've got Sandbar, the Sailor, melee expert, but he's also got a pistol, so a bit of like an Araby themed man-eater there, looking pretty cool. We've got Drulg, Kin Eater, melee expert, armoured, armour piercing, pretty cool. Slave Lord. I know he's really important in the lore, or at least fairly important, so apologies for butchering his name. But yeah, not too bad all round. Again, just so you can have a look at his stats. We've got Gloom Wayfoot here. Ogre charge, but he's basically a giant. He's looking really cool though. Armor piercing, melee expert, good stats, weapon strength. Look at that, Jesus. Old Thunder here, missile specialist. I dread to think what this is, but he is just embroiled with dwarven technology here, so I can only assume how you'd unlock someone like Old Thunder here. He looks he looks pretty good. Range as well, 440 by the way. We've got sorry, Nosso de Schnozzler. A nice little Noblar boy here. Nothing too crazy from him, bless him. He's got snot clumps. What on earth is this? Waves of mucus flowing forth from its nostrils to be used as deadly projectiles. That is grim. Sure. He literally throws snot at people. We've got Golthog, arm piercing, anti-infantry and melee expert. And then we've got Katarina de Heisenberg. Again, not an ogre, but part of the ogre roster. I think she's from Betonia originally, but here we are. Bless her. Anti-large melee expert, armor piercing. And that is it. That sums up pretty much everything this mod has to offer without going too deep into it, which again is unusual because that's what I usually do. If you have enjoyed everything I've shown you today, the mod is in the description below. Please do feel free to install it. And don't forget to leave me a like if you haven't already. Sorry, I just really like this guy. He looks so cool. Leave me a like if you haven't already. Subscribe also would mean the world to me. And again, big shout out to the mod creators of this amazing mod. And with that being said, I love you all dearly. Joking. And I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye!